The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 22. The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 22, verse 1. Deuteronomy 22 and 1. Deuteronomy, the 22nd chapter and the first verse. Lord, Deuteronomy. All right, other laws. If you see that your neighbor's ox or sheep is loose, you must not ignore it. Be sure to take it back to its owner. If the owner does not live near you, or if you don't know who it belongs to, take the ox or sheep to your house. Keep it there until the owner comes looking for it, then give it back. You must do the same thing when you find anything that your neighbor might have lost. Don't try selling it to your neighbor. You must give it back. If your neighbor's donkey or ox has fallen on the road, you must not ignore it. You must help your neighbor lift it up again. A woman must not wear men's clothes, and a man must not wear women's clothes. Let's read that again. A woman must not wear men's clothes, and a man must not wear women's clothes. That is disgusting to the Lord your God. You might be walking along a path and find a bird's nest in a tree or on the ground. If the mother bird is sitting with her baby birds or on the eggs, you must not take the mother with the babies. You may take the babies for yourself. Oh, Jesus, my God, but you must let the mother go. If you obey these laws, things will go well with you and you will live a long time. Why would you take the baby birds? When you build a new house, you must build a wall around your roof. Then you will not be guilty for the death of a person who falls from the house. Things must not be put together. That must not be put together. You must not plant seeds of grain in the same fields as your grapevines. Why? Because then they become useless, both the grapes and the grain produced by the seeds you planted. You must not plow with an ox and a donkey together. You must not wear clothes made by weaving together wool and linen. Tie several pieces of thread together, then put these tassels on the four corners of the robes you wear. Marriage laws. A man might marry a woman and have sexual relations with her. Then he might decide that he does not like her. He might accuse her of doing wrong and say, I married this woman, but when we had sexual relations, I found she was not a virgin. By saying this against her, people might think bad things about her. If this happens, the girl's father and mother must bring the proof that the girl was a virgin to the town elders at the meeting place of the town. The girl's father must say to the leaders, I gave my daughter to this man to be his wife, but now he does not want her. This man accused my daughter of doing wrong and said, I did not find proof that your daughter is a virgin, but here's the proof that my daughter was a virgin. Then they should show the cloth to the town leaders. Now that is just going too far. Now that's a shame before God. Then the leaders of that town must take that man and punish him. They must fine him with 40 ounces of silver. They will give the money to the girl's father because her husband brought her shame to an Israelite girl. Now, how come she didn't get the money? And the girl will continue to be the man's wife. He cannot divorce her for the rest of his life. She has to stay with him. Wow. But what the husband said about his wife might be true. The wife's parents might not have proof that she was a virgin. If this happens, the town leaders must bring the girl to the door of her father's house. Then the men of the town must kill her with stones because she's done a shameful thing in Israel. She's acted like a prostitute in her father's house. You must remove this evil from your group. Sexual sins. If a man is found having sexual relations with another man's wife, both of them must die. The woman and the man who had sexual relations with her, you must remove this evil from Israel. Man might meet a virgin girl engaged to another man. He might have sexual relations with her. If this happens in the city, you must bring them both out to the public place near the gate of the city. Then you must kill them with stones. You must kill the man because he used another man's wife for sexual sin. And you must kill the girl because she was in the city but did not call for help. You must remove this evil from your people. Kill her because she didn't ask for help. I'm trying to see what sense does that make. But if a man finds an engaged girl out in the field and forces her to have sexual relations with him, only the man must die. You must do nothing to the girl. She did nothing that deserves the punishment of death. This is like someone attacking their neighbor and killing them. The man found the engaged girl out in the field and attacked her. Maybe she called for help, but there was no one to help her. So you have to call for help to be not guilty. A man might find a virgin girl who is not engaged and force her to have sexual relations with him. If other people see this happen, he must pay the girl's father 20 ounces of silver, and the girl will become the man's wife because he used her for sexual Sin, he cannot divorce her all his life. A man must not bring shame to his father by marrying his father's wife. Deuteronomy 23. People who cannot join in worship. A man with a crushed testicle or part of his sex organ cut off may not join with the men of Israel to worship the Lord. If a man's parents were not legally married, that man may not join with the men of Israel to worship the Lord, and none of his descendants to the 10th generation may join in that group. An Ammonite or Moabite may not join with the men of Israel when they gather to worship the Lord, and none of their descendants to the 10th generation may join in the worship of the Lord. The Ammonites and Moabites refused to give you bread and water on your trip at the time you came from Egypt. They also tried to hire Balaam, the son of Beor, from the Mesopotamian city of Pethor to curse you. But the Lord your God refused to do what Balaam asked. Instead, the Lord changed the curse into a blessing for you because the Lord your God loves you. You must never try to make peace with the Ammonites or Moabites. As long as you live, don't be friendly to them. Well, what about forgiveness? Guess that's out the picture. People Israelites must accept. You must not hate Edomites because they're your relatives. You must not hate Egyptians because you are a stranger in their land. The children of the third generation born to the Edomites and Egyptians may join with the people of Israel to worship the Lord. Ammonites and Moabites are their relatives as well. Keeping the army camp clean. When your army goes to fight against your enemies, stay away from everything that would make you unclean. If there is any man who is unclean because he had a flow of semen during the night, he must go out of the camp. He must stay away from the camp. Then when evening comes, the man must bathe himself in water, and when the sun goes down, he may come into the camp again. You also must have a place outside the camp where people can go to relieve themselves. Among your weapons, you must also carry a stick to dig with. Then when you relieve yourself, you must dig a hole and cover it up. This is because the Lord your God is there with you in your camp to save you and to help you defeat your enemies, so the camp must be holy. Then he will not see something disgusting and leave you. Other laws. If a slave runs away and comes to you, don't force them to go back to their masters. Runaway slaves may live with you wherever they like, in whatever cities they choose. You must not trouble them. An Israelite man or woman must never become a temple prostitute. The money earned by a prostitute, either male or female, must not be brought to the special house of the Lord your God. That money cannot be used to pay for a gift that was promised to the Lord your God, because that kind of sin is disgusting to him. When you loan something to another Israelite, you must not charge interest. Don't charge interest on money, on food, or anything that may earn interest. You may charge interest to a foreigner, but you must not charge interest to another Israelite. If you follow these rules, the Lord your God will bless you in everything you do in the land where you're going to live. When you make a promise to the Lord your God, don't be slow to pay everything you promise. The Lord your God will demand that you pay it. You will sin if you don't pay what you promise. If you don't make a promise, you're not sinning. But you must do what you say you will do. If you choose to make a promise to the Lord your God, you must do what you promise. When you go through another person's vineyard, you may eat as many grapes as you want, but you cannot put any of the grapes in your basket. When you go through another person's field of grain, you may eat all the grain you can pick with your hands, but you cannot use a sickle to cut that person's grain and take it with you. Deuteronomy 24. A man might marry a woman and then find something secret about some secret thing about her that he does not like. If that man is not pleased with her, he must write the divorce papers and give them to her. Then he must send her from his house. When she's left his house, she may go and become another man's wife. But suppose the new husband also does not like her and sends her away. If that man divorces her, the first husband may not take her again to be his wife. Or if the new husband dies, her first husband must not take her again to be his wife. She has become unclean to him. If he married her again, he would do something the Lord hates. You must not sin like this in the land the Lord your God has given you. When a man is newly married, he must not be sent into the army, and he must not be given any special work. For 1 year, he must be free to stay home and make his new wife happy. When you lend something, you must not take as security any part of the stones used to grind flour. That would be the same as taking away their food. Someone might kidnap another Israelite, one of their own people, and that kidnapper might sell that person as a slave. If that happens, the kidnapper must be killed. You must remove this evil from your group. When you have a very bad skin disease, be very careful to follow everything the Levite priests teach you. You must follow carefully what I told the priest to do. Remember that what the Lord your God did to Miriam on your trip out of Egypt. When you give someone any kind of loan, you must not go into their house to get security. You must stand outside, and the person who gave the loan will bring out the security to you. If he's a poor man, then he might give the clothes that keep him warm. You must not keep that security overnight. You must give his security back to him every evening. Then he will have clothes to sleep in. He will bless you, and the Lord your God will accept this as living right and doing good. You must not cheat a hired servant who is poor and needy. It does not matter if he is an Israelite or if he's a foreigner living in one of your cities. Give him his pay every day before sunset because he's poor and depends on the money. If you don't pay him, he will complain against the Lord, and you will be guilty of sin. Parents must not be put to death for something their children did, and children must not be put to death for something their parents did. People should be put to death only for a bad thing that they themselves did. You must make sure that foreigners and orphans are treated fairly, and you must never take clothes from a widow as security. Remember, you were slaves in Egypt, and the Lord your God took you from that place and set you free. That is why I tell you to do these things for the poor. You might be gathering your harvest in the field, and you might forget and leave some grain there. You must not go back to get it. It will be for the foreigners, the orphans, and the widows. If you leave some grain for them, the Lord your God will bless you in everything you do. When you beat your olive trees, you must not go back to check the branches. The olives you leave will be there for foreigners, orphans, and widows. When you gather the grapes from your vineyards, you must not go back to gather the grapes you left. They will be for the foreigners, orphans, and widows. Remember, you were poor slaves in Egypt. That's why I tell you to do these things for the poor. Very interesting laws. This is the word of the Lord. Make sure you follow, like, share, and subscribe, and be sure to share with someone and encourage them to join us every morning as we read